Yeah.
We're gonna go to the one and only Rao, R-A-O, and he wants to he, she, or they. I don't have pronouns, so I'm sorry I don't have your preferred pronouns, but they want to talk about simulation theory. How's it going?
All right, Jmike, I actually talked to you in the Truth Wanted chat, was it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and I feel like I've gotten a little bit better. I've gotten a little bit more concise at like explaining myself. I've been practicing a lot, and as far as I could tell from you, that you have like kind of a loose hard solipsism in the sense that you know that you exist, but you can't prove with an amount an amount of certainty that anything outside of your mind exists, correct?
Yeah, in a sense. So the best way to put it is I would state that I'm a skeptic, first and foremost. But if I was to put it in kind of the philosophical language, so to speak, I think I'd be what's called an epistemic solipsist, which people think that makes me believe that there aren't real people. But the idea is that from an epistemic base of knowledge, I can know I exist. I could start with kind of the knowledge of that and build off my epistemology. And then the idea really is just that since I don't have access to other minds, I just lend the possibility of any type of solipsistic scenario, Descartes' demon, brain of that, all those types of things. I don't think I could logically or deductively disprove them. So I accept that as kind of the skeptical fabric of my epistemology.
And Johnny, I don't think I've talked to you since you were call screened, so
It's been a while.
Yeah, and I mean, I've missed the show. Honestly, I've been out of it for a little bit for other reasons, but I actually wanted to. We're going to keep rambling on unless I get to a point here. But my first piece of evidence for the simulation hypothesis would definitely be the people who are smarter than me, who have been doing this their entire lives. And I think he worked as like the head science dude under the Obama administration, Dr. James Sylvester Gates. A quote from him was that when he was tearing down the mathematical, the math that describes the fabric of the universe, what he found was strings of 1 and 0s that are not similar to, but identical to, the error-correcting code that we find in our search engines today.
Okay, so there's two things there. First thing I want to... You would agree that a person being smart or having the ability to, like, possess knowledge that maybe lay people don't have doesn't mean that that's good evidence to the claim, right? Like, we would agree that like an ad populum fallacy wouldn't be good reasoning, right? Or like authority.
Well, it's not necessarily an ad populum fallacy, because an ad populum fallacy is...
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. What I'm going to say is an argument from authority. It doesn't seem like that's going to...
Right. An argument from authority is only if the person is not an authority on that topic. And it would be like a botanist trying to say that their degree in botany qualifies them to talk about economics at a doctorate level.
Yeah, so there's going to be a little confusion here, because there is a form of an authority fallacy where it's from a false authority, right? But it still would be fallacious to say this person's a biologist, therefore what they said is true, right? That would still be fallacious reasoning, right?
Well, I'm not just saying that what they said. I'm saying that the research that they have done, when Dr. Gates broke it down and actually did the research, not just because he said it, but because he actually studied it, did the work, did the research, and then brought it up. And I'm not sure at what stage in peer review it's in right now, or if it even has hit peer review, or if this was just something that he was toying with. But I would say that his expertise in the field would give him more credit. It would be better.
Well, so like it sounded like you kind of went where I would hope you would, in the sense of that you care about the independent attestation, or at least what the work is trying to do, rather than what the person said. So like, I won't, I'm not going to hammer you on the first part. I just wanted to make sure that you care about the independent data before I kind of just go on to assuming that's evidence for you.
I care about what's being, I care about what's being said more than who said it. But if the person who said it is actually studied in the field for years, decades, and they've reached that clout of being the head science dude under Obama, I would say that they are qualified enough for the job that they're smarter on the topic than I am.
So that's fine. So I didn't want to bog down that point a lot. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't going to appeal to authority. But the second main point, it seems like, and I don't know this work, so it's going to be hard for me to speak upon the specific work, obviously. But the problem I have with any of these types of simulation theories is it seems to be problematic that if I can just give you conjecture of like Descartes' demon or like some solipsistic scenario, and that underdetermines your theory, it's just as likely given all the data, then I don't know why we would put any like epistemic stock into it to think that that's a way to gain knowledge of actually how the world works. Because it seems that I can underdetermine your theory by just saying like, what if we're in a dream, right? I don't know how we falsify this theory, and I don't know what like expectations the predictions that it's supposed to be generating.
Well, that actually, when you're talking about philosophy of Descartes' demon, the allegory of the cave, let's see, who else was it? Zhang Zhu's butterfly dream. Am I a butterfly having a dream that I'm Zhang Zhu, or am I actually Zhang Zhu who just had a dream that they were a butterfly? Yeah, when we get into philosophical concepts, I don't think that holds as much ground as the actual mathematics. I think when the mathematics are there, we have more ground than just logically this could be possible.
Yeah, I'm not, and I want to pass it to Johnny here because I want to take all the time here, but I'm not going to say there's like some contradiction. It's fine that there could be some like scenario at which you could develop some inference rule, right? And like have it logically follow. But my problem is if I take the same set of data and I come to a different conclusion, what is it that your theory does that generates a predictive expectation that say mine wouldn't, right? Because it seems to be underdetermined. And by that, I mean, it seems that we could rival this theory with any theory, and we're no better off because the one that's going to separate it from the pack is the one that has some predictive expectation. But I'm not sure if I'm hearing what that is.
Well, like that, like I said, this isn't my only evidence. This is just one piece of evidence that the mathematics fits. And in court, what we have is we have the.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, but you said the mathematics fits. But how do we know the mathematics fits?
Yeah, can you walk us through the mathematics? Because
I can't. That's why I am relying on the smarter people, and I don't know exactly what the mathematics are, so I wouldn't be able to lead you through that. But it's.
So then, why are you convinced?
Are you convinced, or are you just raising an interesting idea? And is it RAO or is it Rao?
It's RAO.
Okay, that's what I always thought it was. I've seen you on the social media, and I've never actually said the name out loud. RAO, thank you for calling, and thank you for clarifying that. So sorry, what was the answer again to my question?
Well, it's not that like, okay, this is like with a criminal court, you have beyond a shadow of a doubt.
It's beyond a reasonable doubt.
And then with beyond a reasonable doubt. And then, sorry about that. Thanks for the correction. With a civil court, you have a preponderance for evidence. So
and sometimes it's by clear and convincing evidence. It depends on what the actual case is about. Clear and convincing evidence is more than by preponderance, but less than beyond a reasonable doubt. It depends.
And right now, I'm trying to meet the qualification of a civil suit before I even try to get to the qualification of a criminal trial.
Fair enough.
So I'm taking the evidence that I have, and I'm seeing if the collection of evidence leads more to one conclusion than another.
Well, here's something. You wanted to bring in a court analogy, and I do appreciate that. So you've cited to an expert, and this would be Dr. Gates, who has brought up this idea. Not alone. There are others who've talked about it, and many who have dismissed it as speculative. But the thing about experts in court is what they do is they will get up on the stand, and they will usually have produced a report, and that report looks at specialized knowledge and will address certain points, certain complex issues that may be beyond the ken or understanding of a jury or the judge if it's a bench trial, and explain it in a way that will aid the decider of fact in coming to make certain factual determinations. Okay, so what we have here is an expert, arguably a very intelligent person who was top science guy under Obama, which I don't exactly know what that means, but like an intelligent person who was well respected.
I can't remember his exact title, but
that would matter.
It was that's yeah.
That would matter, right? Who has done some heavy thinking and probably some heavy research into the math and physics and all this jazz, and now has brought up a hypothesis that the universe is a simulation and can cite to some numbers that I don't know about you, Ariel, it's far beyond my rinky-dink, I hate math understanding. So until such time as Dr. Gates or someone else can explain the math in a way to me that convinces me by preponderance of the evidence or clear and convincing or beyond a reasonable doubt, I'm just going to say there's not enough information here for me to say that this is the way the universe is cooked up. And until you understand the math or have it explained to you in a way that you understand the math, not just a smart person has said this, then maybe all you can say in good faith is, well, that's interesting. I'd like to hear more. That's where I'm at.
But even if I'm right, I need to get better at being right.
Well, we all do, don't we? I mean, you're not alone in that. Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just clearing that up. But where Jmike was going with that little piece, even if it's true, like it could still fit in here and not here with Descartes' demon and things like that. That's what.
Well, no. Hold on, real fast. I'm not trying to say it. My idea is that, like, if we're gonna take it seriously, yours has to have some type of novel prediction, some kind of new prediction in the future that separates it. Otherwise, the theory is just underdetermined by like conjecture ad infinitum. I could just keep making up as much as I want with the data, but if you don't have a predictive expectation that's something new in the future, then it's on par with the drunk guy at the bar or whoever just tells you something like, hey, you know what? Descartes' demon, that's some real shit, man. There's nothing different between those two theories at the way it stands. And the bigger issue I have is if you don't understand the math on it, which is not a sin by any, like, there's no issue in not understanding the math. But if you don't understand it, I'm worried why the story or the connection to wanting to know takes precedent over the potential facts in, say, cosmology or anywhere else that just don't concern themselves with these theories, right? Where the models it doesn't even require that conjecture. And in fact, it would just probably be antithetical to the actual theory, right? So I'm confused why if you admit that you don't understand the math, why you would take that as precedent over the potential facts.
I haven't seen anything antithetical to the simulation hypothesis. Like honestly,
I have one right now. It's not a simulation. There's an antithetical view. Now, which one generates? If yours says yours is true, which I'm a skeptic, I'm fine with either one potentially being true. I'm not dying on any hill. But if you really have stock in this, then presumably you could give me the expectation that the predictive expectation, and then we could just get rid of the antithetical view where I'm saying nope, no simulation, right? That would separate it. That would be the work that we need to do.
So a predictive expectation is that someday computer characters not played by humans, not PCs, main characters, that kind of thing, but NPCs would be able to create games of their own volition.
So yeah, but okay, how is that inconsistent with the non-simulated world that has AI that could do the same? Right? Because the AI, the artificial intelligence of the game would just be that. And I'm a programming major. I'm not a good one by any means, but that's not something that would be like, that would throw, my potential profession in a whirl. Like I'd be like, yeah, AI seems to be consistent with this non-simulated world I live in. So I don't know how that prediction wouldn't also be underdetermined by my theory.
I would think that if simulations would be able to create simulations within themselves that weren't being fed to them by human interaction, and that's why I specified NPCs. If an NPC is able to create a game or a simulation of its own volition, then what we have seen is that our technology will advance to a point that simulations will create simulations, and that at least reduces the chances.
Yeah, but what would? I'm sorry, but what would be the contradiction in the non-simulated world? I don't know why that couldn't follow. I don't know why that counts as evidence for yours when I could use the same data point as evidence for the non-simulated world. I could use the same evidence. It's the whole idea here is that it's underdetermined. We can appeal to the same evidence because the evidence that we're appealing to doesn't actually separate one of our theories from each other, because you're not actually diverging from some The idea here is that your theory is not falsifiable, right? I can just rival it with any other theory. I don't know how is it verified? What's the falsification criterion? Would we expect if it wasn't true, right? It doesn't seem like, I'd have to look at this guy's paper, obviously, but it just sounds very it sounds pseudoscientific to me.
And that's what I'm saying is I'm trying to figure out how to falsify. I can figure out several ways to verify it, or to make it look more likely. I can't figure out any ways to make it look less likely. I haven't seen anything close to the evidence, such as the Planck constants, you're right. I am going to have to get to a point where I understand the math a lot better before I keep explaining it. And
that's fair though. That's completely fair. Yeah, that's
no problem there. And then RAO, the other thing is, supposing that we do live in a simulation of some sort, then the creators of the simulation, either they live in another simulation or they're in the really real world. So then where did they come about? I mean, you just kick the can down the road and we were talking about this before the show. You get that panspermia business where life originated from some other planet. Okay, well then what about that planet? Oh, it came from another planet before that. And you keep on going, and it's sperm all the way down until you end up facing the question, where did life originate originally? And
and logically this could be reality prime. I'm leaving that saying that, yeah, I could be wrong, this could be reality prime. But logically there must be a reality prime, and the answer to that is I don't know.
Sure.
The answer
how would you know?
There's I don't know.
Yeah, and there's the journey that you're on, and it's fun. It's a fun thought experiment.
Yeah,
but until you have a better grasp of it, until I think there's a scientific consensus because a few scientists cooking up awesome, sitting around the coffee table kind of thoughts, until we have something we can use to falsify it, then I think we're just bouncing around ideas. World on a Wire, one of my favorite. Someone corrected me. It's a German miniseries from the 70s. It's like The Matrix before The Matrix. World on a Wire. Check it out if you want to, or don't.
Yeah, I would just, I just want to add, like, to even give something a little, like, not that what Johnny didn't give was terrible, but to be like, even to give as much leeway as possible for the theory here, at least just something that provides some, that generates some prediction, and not just a prediction. Like, I can make a prediction, like, the ice cream truck will come in my neighborhood tomorrow and have prior knowledge, but that's not going to separate the theory. So something that's new in the future, right, that generates it, that I'm on board to listen to that, especially just from a philosophical perspective. I care about consensus, but if someone has a theory and they actually have some, falsification criterion, and they actually serve to try to test it, verify it, have some prediction in the future, I think that's what separates the pseudoscientific conjecture from some conjecture that actually has some work that it could do. So I would just look at that as well. Don't hang your hat on consensus necessarily, but just something that separates it from an underdetermined theory I could rival it with.
So a falsifiable prediction that fits the facts and evidence that we live in a simulation and would be able to prove, demonstrate one way or the other, without
sounds unfalsifiable, doesn't it?
No, it sounds like I got more thinking to do.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, we all do.
Sure.
But the other thing of it is, does this notion, forgetting, of course, the logic and the science evidence, the scientific evidence of it all, does this in some way, by following this train of thought, just thinking about it from your own personal reason, I'm not projecting this onto you, but one of the things I was researching about this was it sort of abdicates personal responsibility in some way. And I'm not saying you're saying this at all, but the idea that we're in a simulation, on some level, it kind of sets you up for, well, I'm just playing a role that's been set for me by the programmers. And
I actually have two things to touch on with that. Just playing a role is completely different for me, and now we're getting into my field of expertise, because you're talking about with me as a speedrunner, I learn video games to a point that I'm counting them 60 times per second. So it's when I'm playing a game, I'm not just playing a role. I am doing my damnedest to shred every 100th of a second that I can off of that.
Yeah.
So I have tons of personal responsibility while playing the video games, knowing it's a video game, because I need to get those times down and get them gold splits.
Because you have a goal. You have a goal to meet. What do you speed run? What's your most
the one I'm best at is Contra 3 low percent normal difficulty. I'm about 30 seconds away from the world record on that one, and I just got the sub 60 in Super Metroid.
Very cool. Okay, well, I will keep an eye out for that, because I do watch a speedrunner too.
I play Sega Genesis still in 2022, so there's my console for you. Yeah, but anyway,
I've actually got the Genesis Mini and the Atari Flashback that both have Genesis games on them. So, like, you and I might be able to co-stream one of these days, get ourselves some race going on.
Well, thank you so much, Rao.
Yep.
I want to see that happen. I want to see that happen at some point. I think we're. I think, you know what? Why don't you dig some more into this? And we will too. I'm getting myself homework this time.
That sounds like an amazing idea. Look for me calling back in about a month or two, because I got some research to do. And thanks to both y'all for getting me stepped into the right direction, so that I can start making more science out of this, because one thing I'm trying to do is get the God claims out of the simulation hypothesis.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Rao, thank you. And yeah, I appreciate, I really have admiration for your attitude in that perspective. A lot of people go different routes. And so I appreciate that you look at it from that perspective. I really do. So thank you. I really do.
Oh, dude, this show been teaching me a lot for years, so I'm gonna keep learning the best I can.
Awesome.
Have fun with y'all's next callers. I'll be in chat.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You know, that's something that I really do enjoy about doing this show and other shows like it, is that not only do I get to work with cool folks who are a pleasure and a treasure to work with.
I know you ain't talking about me.
Oh, I am too. But the callers too. There's interesting people out there in the world doing stuff, thinking thoughts, and that's cool. I like that. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm glad Ariel called in.